How's it going, everybody? So for chapter 9, um, it was kind of hard to narrow this one down into two main ideas because there are a lot of facets that make up intercultural conflict, but I didn't want to focus necessarily on the lenses or anything like that. So my first main idea is just the broad one presented in this chapter about determining how and why intercultural conflict occurs. And so on page 167, um, the quote that I found for this one is: intercultural conflict often starts with different expectations concerning appropriate or inappropriate conflict behavior in an interaction scene. Different cultural members often have contrasting images of how conflict should be properly handled. So basically, what the author's trying to say is that in an intercultural conflict, as opposed to one between people of the same culture, the two people are going to have very different conflict skills, cultural values, and things like that that could create a different sort of conflict than that between people who share those things. And that's really the overarching thing in this chapter and breaking that down. So, the second idea that I went with was by using intercultural conflict skills, we can become better intercultural conflict resolvers and therefore better and more flexible intercultural communicators in general. And so the quote that I have for this one is actually at the very end of the chapter on page 189. And it is: to manage intercultural conflict flexibly, we must be prepared to take alternative cultural perspectives into consideration. If another party is an interdependent self collectivist, we may want to pay attention to his or her process oriented assumptions during our conflict negotiation. If others are independent self individualists, we may want to be sensitive to their outcome oriented assumptions during the conflict negotiation. Flexible intercultural conflict management means using culture sensitive communication skills to manage the process and outcome of conflict adaptively and productively. And so that was kind of long, but basically it's the ending there that really brings the whole thing home, that we need to have flexible intercultural conflict skills, and we need to understand where the other culture is coming from. I talked in my RRP and discussion a lot about cultural empathy, but I think that is extremely, extremely important. Empathy is extremely important for productive communication anyway. But yeah, basically the things that are outlined in this chapter, we want a good outcome and we need to be adaptive and productive in those outcomes. And that's it.